How are we all doing today on this July 9th? Welcome to Glenn's Dynamic Sports Corner on 12OZSportsRadio.com. I am your host, Glenn Kaplan. We are live in a muggy Birdland, Baltimore, Maryland, which is home of the Baltimore Orioles and the Baltimore Ravens. Who's excited for today's show? We have a packed and loaded show for the next little bit under an hour or so. So, the 85th show. I hope you all are enjoying your week. Nonetheless, and the MLS has returned, which means that we are one step closer to the NBA returning and all the other sports returning. And speaking of sports, let's get into the money business of things. Mahomes, show me the money. Yes, sir. He still had 2 years left on his contract. But the Kansas City Chiefs decided to hand it to him now. Because why not? You already won an MVP and a Super Bowl MVP. And the talks of dynasty and the talks of the greatest football player ever have already started to ring the bell. And I'm not going to jump on that bandwagon this second because I need to see how other things progress throughout these next, I'm going to say, 5 years. If he wins the next 3 out of 5 Super Bowls, then I will jump on that bandwagon. I'm not jumping on it just yet. Look, I know how talented he is. Look, I see it with my own 2 eyes. You can watch the tape. You can see the way he leads. You can see the way he does a lot of things for his team. I mean, yeah, we could say that, he has Tyreek Hill and Travis Kelce and Demarcus Robinson and Sammy Watkins, Mecole Hardman Jr. Oh, and he's got Clyde Edwards-Helaire and Damian Williams in the backfield. Sorry, you have to be a special kind of player to win with those kind of guys. And don't tell me you can just plug in any old quarterback with those weapons. Because you want to know why that doesn't fit the narrative? Because Alex Smith couldn't win with guys like Travis Kelce and Tyreek Hill. So don't give me that any old quarterback can win with these weapons. I think it's a garbage take. You had to have a special quality to win with the players that you have around you, even if they're elite at their other positions. Yes, he's going to be getting a 10-year deal worth as much as potentially $503 million, but as far as I'm concerned, as of right now, it's $450 million. Adam Schefter of ESPN reported. Beginning of potentially something great with the Kansas City Chiefs. The big question is, how many more Super Bowls does he get to in this 12-year span? I think he gets to about maybe 3 or 4 more and wins about 3 of them. I could totally see it. I could see Mahomes winning about what I could see happening is they go to the Super Bowl the next 3 or 4 years and have a big time drought for like 8 years. And you want to know what everyone keeps forgetting about greatness? You know that Tom Brady did not go to a Super Bowl for a decade? And we talk about how great he is? I just want you all to know that right now. That Tom Brady, we call him the greatest. Some people call him the greatest ever in football. And we all forget that he didn't go to the Super Bowl in the span of a decade, and we never doubt the greatness of Bill Belichick. That's all I'm saying. You could be great without going to a Super Bowl for that long. You could. Excuse me. Patrick Mahomes is one of the best players in the NFL right now, and he's probably the top player in the league. Seriously. I mean, he is the heartbeat and heart soul of the Kansas City Chiefs. And he's also has the richest contract now in pro sports. Mike Trout has the second most. He's got a $426 million contract with the Los Angeles Angels. And now with this contract, how does it affect the other quarterbacks? Let's see who has to get paid next. Deshaun Watson to the Houston Texans. Dak Prescott to the Dallas Cowboys. And Lamar Jackson to the Baltimore Ravens. And don't tell me for 1 second that Lamar Jackson and Dak Prescott deserve Patrick Mahomes' money. I'm just going to sit here laughing at you guys if you truly believe Dak Prescott and Lamar Jackson deserve Mahomes' money. You know who deserves Mahomes' money? Deshaun Watson does. I don't think Lamar Jackson and Dak Prescott does, and here's why. First of all, Lamar Jackson's got to prove to me 2 things. And I know he's got an MVP, and everyone's going to be, oh, you're hating. Number 1, watch the tape. He doesn't know how to come back from when he's trailing 7 points or more. That's number 1. Number 2, he is not proven to be a pocket passer. Between the numbers, he's got to learn to throw between the numbers. And if he can learn between the throw the numbers and win a couple playoff games, and as electric and dynamite he is, then I could give him maybe like 300 to 350 million. But don't even think about it right now. Don't even think about it. And for Dak Prescott, I wonder if you give him the money, he's just going to regress. I wonder if Prescott has reached his ceiling. That's my problem if you give Dak Prescott a contract extension. And I think they should play tag like the Washington Redskins did with Kirk Cousins. I think Dak Prescott was absolutely garbage against the good teams, and he was downright tremendous against the bad teams. And don't tell me for 1 second that you think McCarthy's going to fix this stuff up. Because I personally don't see it happening. As I've said on this show, the Dallas Cowboys are taking a step back this year. They are. I mean, I wouldn't pay Dak that money. Now, here's why I would pay Deshaun Watson that money despite the ACL injuries. Deshaun Watson is, as I think, like, he's a thrower like Mahomes is. He wins. He changes. He's a really good athlete. He's a really good athlete. That's why I think I like Watson as a passer better than Jackson and Prescott. And I think during these 12 years, you're going to see a lot of success in Kansas City. I'm going to say maybe 8 AFC East, not AFC East, AFC West Division titles. Maybe you'll see the Denver Broncos steal one, or maybe the Los Angeles Chargers steal another. I'm not sure what the deal with the Las Vegas Raiders is. I mean, seriously? I don't know what their deal is. Excuse me. So I'm curious to see how it's all going to roll up for this franchise, for the Chiefs, and some people actually think this contract actually may be a bargain with the cap going up. With the cap going up, you may see another quarterback maybe getting more than Mahomes, which I think is utterly ridiculous. There may be one guy that might get more money than Patrick Mahomes, and he's not even in the NFL yet, and we have to see how good he becomes. Trevor Lawrence of Clemson may be the only one. They're saying that because he's the best college prospect since Andrew Luck coming out of Stanford, or when John Elway entered the league for the Denver Broncos. That's it. Those were the 3 sure slam dunk college quarterbacks coming in the NFL. That's it. Trevor Lawrence may be the only other one you get that big time contract to. Otherwise, I don't see it happening. Trevor Lawrence is the next best quarterback, I think, in the NFL. I don't know if he reaches Mahomes' level, but he's going to be something special, I think, at the next level. And for Kansas City and Patrick Mahomes, here's where his numbers last year. Remember, he played in 14 games. He missed 2 because of the knee injury, and we all thought that he was done for the year. 14 games, 11-3 record, 319 of 484 passing, 65.9 completion percentage for 4,031 yards, 26 touchdowns, 5 interceptions, 43 rushing attempts for 218 yards and 2 touchdowns. In his career, he has played in 31 games, 24-7 record, 724 of 1,099 passes completed, 65.9 completion percentage, 9,412 yards, 76 touchdowns, and 18 interceptions. So what has he done in the playoffs too? Because we can't also overlook the playoff statistics. I mean, right, I guess you could say. So he has completed 72 of 112 of his passes in the playoffs. That's a 64.3 completion percentage for 901 yards, 10 touchdowns, 2 interceptions in the playoffs this year. He also rushed for 135 yards on 24 carries and 2 touchdowns. In his playoff career, 4-1, 115 of 184 completed passes, 62.5% completion percentage, 1,474 yards, 13 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. Also rushed for 154 yards on 29 carries and 3 touchdowns. Oh, and lastly, in his career, he's rushed for 500 yards, 110 carries, and 4 touchdowns. So, he likes to move a little bit in the pocket because he could run too a little bit, Patrick Mahomes. He's good, and obviously he's great, and he's the top quarterback in the league. We'll see how this affects other quarterbacks going down the road. Oh, you also got Kyler Murray of the Arizona Cardinals, Daniel Jones, New York Giants, Sam Darnold, the New York Jets, Josh Allen, the Buffalo Bills, and Baker Mayfield, the Cleveland Browns are going to be potentially getting their next contracts first in football, other than Watson and Prescott and Jackson. So this has affected an entire quarterback market. It's not only affecting Patrick Mahomes, it's going to affect all these other quarterbacks. And Tom Brady, Aaron Rodgers, Russell Wilson never got paid that kind of money in their careers. They never did. Oh, G-O-G. We'll see what's going to happen with all this going down the road nonetheless. Next up, baseball, and baseball. All right. Release the schedule. It has been released. So now we got to know for the 60 games what's going to happen. What's going to happen during the 60-game season. So here's the opening night for Major League Baseball. July 23rd, 7:08 on ESPN, New York Yankees, Washington Nationals. Excuse me. And at 10:08, the San Francisco Giants and the Los Angeles Dodgers. Welcome back, Major League Baseball. Garrett Cole, Max Scherzer, I expect to be the rotation. And then, for San Francisco, with Madison Bumgarner not there anymore, they're in a rebuild. They have not announced an opening day started yet. And for the Dodgers, I probably expect it to be Clayton Kershaw, but it maybe could be Walker Buehler. July 24th, the Atlanta Braves and the New York Mets, Detroit Tigers versus Cincinnati Reds, Toronto Blue Jays versus Tampa Bay Rays, Miami Marlins versus Philadelphia Phillies, Kansas City Royals versus Cleveland Indians, Milwaukee Brewers versus Chicago Cubs, Baltimore Orioles versus Boston Red Sox, Colorado Rockies versus Texas Rangers, Minnesota Twins versus Chicago White Sox, Pittsburgh Pirates versus St. Louis Cardinals, Arizona Diamondbacks versus San Diego Padres, Seattle Mariners versus Houston Astros, San Francisco Giants versus Los Angeles Dodgers, and the Los Angeles Angels versus the Oakland Athletics. That's July 24th slate. So, San Francisco to LA, Dodgers will have back-to-back games. I know the Mets and the Braves are on ESPN that day. There's another game or two on ESPN that day. And then there's some other interesting things about the schedule. One of the things I was actually looking forward to this year, well, they're not going to have it this year. They'll probably have to wait till next year to have it, is the Little League Classic, which I've liked the last couple of years, playing at the Williamsport Crosscutter Stadium. It's a nice gesture. I know they had the Pirates and the Cubs one year, and the Mets and the Phillies. And they had the Cardinals and the Pirates too, I believe, another year. So they were going to have the Red Sox and the Orioles this year, but they couldn't have it this year. So here are the Sunday night baseball games. July 26th at 7 p.m., Atlanta Braves and New York Mets. 10 p.m., San Francisco Giants versus Los Angeles Dodgers. August 2nd, Boston Red Sox versus New York Yankees. August 9th, Chicago Cubs versus St. Louis Cardinals. August 16th, Boston Red Sox versus New York Yankees. August 23rd, Philadelphia Phillies versus Atlanta Braves. August 30th, it will be the same matchup, but this time Philadelphia Atlanta Braves versus Philadelphia Phillies. September 6th, St. Louis Cardinals versus the Chicago Cubs. So, September 13th is to be decided, and so is September 20th. So, the to-be-decided game, what is the Houston Astros and Los Angeles Dodgers on the 13th of September? But let's see some other games that day that can maybe fit the bill. I don't think they'll change the schedule, though, for these 6. Cleveland Indians and Minnesota Twins set for 4:10. Atlanta Braves versus Washington Nationals set for 12:35. Boston Red Sox versus Tampa Bay Rays set for 1:10. Cincinnati Reds versus St. Louis Cardinals at 2:15. Chicago Cubs versus Milwaukee Brewers at 2:10. And the Los Angeles Angels versus Colorado Rockies at 3:10. So I think it'll probably be the Astros and the Dodgers, because I think they may both be in playoff position. Then that's why they have it listed on the schedule as, I was looking up this morning, that's why they had it listed as TBD, to be decided. And now for the September 20th matchups. So let's see what they have as to be decided. Interestingly enough, St. Louis Cardinals versus Pittsburgh Pirates, or Toronto Blue Jays versus the Philadelphia Phillies, which I'm really not too much of a fan of, to be honest. I'm not a fan of either of those matchups. These matchups maybe sound better. Minnesota Twins versus Chicago Cubs at 2:20 p.m. Atlanta Braves versus New York Mets at 1:10 p.m. New York Yankees versus Boston Red Sox at 1:35 p.m. Chicago White Sox versus the Cincinnati Reds at 1:10 p.m. And the Arizona Diamondbacks against the Houston Astros at 2:10 p.m. That's what I feel like are just, to me, just the better matchups. Basically, in all of this. That's just how I feel. So lastly, as they do with game 160, excuse me, they usually like to have the games around the same time on the final day, 3:05, 3:10, and that's going to be the case on the last Sunday of the regular season, the 27th of September. So, let's see. Here are the games that are for that day. And let's see what games may matter. Detroit Tigers vs. Kansas City Royals. That game might matter, yeah, for the number 1 pick. Houston Astros for Texas Rangers. Outside chance it could maybe be for a wild card game. You don't know what the Texas Rangers could be this year. They could be a surprise. Houston could dwindle a little bit. San Diego Padres for San Francisco Giants. I think that's going to be more for draft positioning more than for anything else, nonetheless. And then you have the New York... Who else is for that day? The New York Mets and the Washington Nationals. You can bet dollars to donuts that's for the NL East or a wild card spot. That may be the best one with the New York Mets, Washington Nationals. I'm curious to see how that's going to play out. Miami Marlins versus New York Yankees. Yankees may have the division wrapped up. Marlins may be playing for draft positioning. And then you have the San Diego Padres, San Francisco Giants. That's for draft positioning. Baltimore Orioles, Toronto Blue Jays. Baltimore, it may not matter for because of draft position. Keep an eye on Toronto in case they surprise people this year because of how their offense is. Chicago Cubs or Chicago White Sox definitely could be interesting. Those teams may be battling. I don't think they're going to win their division. Maybe a wild card spot in the National League and American League. Seattle Mariners, Oakland Athletics. Hear me out on this one. Oakland A's, I think, are going to be good. Seattle Mariners. Now, as I've said about Seattle, and I think they're going to finish in last because I think they stink from the S to the K. But the thing about the Seattle Mariners is that no matter what year it is with Seattle, they always get on to those lightning bolt starts. And if you get on to a 14-2 start in a 60-game season, keep an eye out for that one, even though I think they're going to finish in last. And this is not an 162-game marathon. But watch, this would be the typical year the Seattle Mariners pick to get off their slow start. Philadelphia Phillies for Tampa Bay Rays definitely could see playoff position on both sides. Maybe the Phillies for the NL East or the Rays, maybe the AL East long shot, but I think it'll be more for a wild card. Boston Red Sox, Atlanta Braves. I don't think Red Sox will be in contention, but you never know. Atlanta Braves, not sure. Actually, Atlanta Braves may have the division locked up, or they may be playing for to win the NL East or wild card spot. Cincinnati Reds and Minnesota Twins. Definitely could see it. Twins may be battling for the AL Central. Reds maybe for a wild card AL or NL Central spot. Los Angeles Angels versus Los Angeles Dodgers. Dodgers may not be playing for anything. I could see the Angels playing for something on that day. Pittsburgh Pirates versus Cleveland Indians. Just wipe the Pirates out of playoffs now. The season's over before it even begins for them. They stink from the S to the K. They're absolutely atrocious. Indians maybe for a wild card spot with that pitching rotation. Colorado Rockies, Arizona Diamondbacks. I'm going to say no. And Milwaukee Brewers for St. Louis Cardinals. Could definitely see it for the NL Central crown. Depends how it goes. It's going to definitely depend how it goes. Nonetheless, this year with these teams. Now, here's some interesting MLB intra-squad matchups that you have here. First up, Washington Nationals, Max Scherzer, Juan Soto. Oh, I would pay to see that matchup. Juan Soto, I truly believe, is winning the National League MVP this year. Absolutely, relatively, absolutely going to happen. They're going to be in the playoffs. They're going to be in the playoffs. Why did I just say that on a broken record? I didn't mean to be on a broken record like that with Soto being the heartbeat and heart and soul of the Washington Nationals. Next, New York Mets. Jacob deGrom versus Pete Alonso. I saw it the other day. I saw it on Twitter. deGrom won a high fastball. Made Pete Alonso chase it. So, I guess deGrom may win back-to-back Cy Youngs this year. Next up, Los Angeles Dodgers, Clayton Kershaw, Cody Bellinger. New York Yankees, Garrett Cole, Aaron Judge. Minnesota Twins, Jose Barreros, Nelson Cruz. Cleveland Indians, Shane Bieber versus Jose Ramirez. Houston Astros, Justin Verlander versus George Springer. Although some people love to see Jose Altuve get struck out. Texas Rangers, Corey Kluber versus Joey Gallo. Atlanta Braves, Mike Soroka versus Ronald Acuna Jr. Philadelphia Phillies, Aaron Nola and Bryce Harper. And the Chicago Cubs, John Lester versus Javi Baez. St. Louis Cardinals, Jack Flaherty, Paul Goldschmidt. And the Cincinnati Reds, Trevor Bauer versus Nick Castellanos nonetheless. So I find those intra-squad matchups in training camp very interesting. And I know the Mets and the Yankees are scheduled to play 2 games next weekend on Saturday and Sunday for a scrimmage. And the Yankees are going to play the Phillies on a Monday. I don't think that the Mets have found a third game to scrimmage against, but that might be good enough for the Mets. So I'm curious to see how these managers and stuff are going to play things out in these scrimmages. I'm probably sure that the Nats and the Orioles and the Dodgers and the Angels and probably the A's and the Giants, probably the Reds and the Indians. Teams like that are probably scrimmaging against each other. Maybe the Pirates and the Phillies will too. So, I think they should show these games on MLB Network or something. There's really nothing else on right now. But in 2 weeks from tonight, baby, opening day, it's going to be exciting. A short 60-game sprint. We'll see how it goes. I've already announced my playoff field. As I've said to you guys, I've already said it, that the Cincinnati Reds, the Atlanta Braves, the New York Mets, the Washington Nationals, the Los Angeles Dodgers are going to be your playoff teams in the National League. And in the American League, the Oakland Athletics, the Los Angeles Angels, the New York Yankees, the Tampa Bay Rays, and the Minnesota Twins will be your playoff teams in those leagues. And I truly believe that the Oakland Athletics play the Los Angeles Dodgers in the World Series. And the Dodgers won in 6. With your division, and the A's beat out the Twins. And NLCS, the Dodgers are going to beat out the Braves. I believe in the National League wildcard, Nats beat out the Mets. And then in the American League, you're going to see, I truly believe we're going to see the Angels and the Rays. That's tough, but I would take the Angels to win that one. And then I believe the Yankees would lose to the A's in the DS. And the Twins would beat the Angels. And then in the National League, the Dodgers get the Nats this year and the Braves would beat the Reds. That's what I think is going to happen. So we'll see how correct I am on all that stuff. All right, I'm transitioning into the National Hockey League. The National Hockey League, baby. Ice, ice, baby. Woo! I'm so happy that the National Hockey League is another step closer to returning. They finally officially have a tentative schedule for when everything's going to go into place. So starting on July 24th is when the teams are going to travel to the hub cities. In the east, you're going to Toronto. In the west, you're going to Edmonton. The next day, the 25th, exhibition games. Now, I don't know if they specifically specified this. Do the exhibition games mean that you're playing against other, is it exhibition games against other teams, as in, say, I'll use the Pittsburgh Penguins and New York Rangers as an example, or do the exhibition games mean that for the seeding with the East and the West with the top 4 seeds? Is that what they mean by exhibition? That's probably what it does mean, because that's probably going to be the span where they use the Philadelphia Flyers, the Washington Capitals, the Tampa Bay Lightning, the Boston Bruins, and then the Vegas Golden Knights, the Dallas Stars, Colorado Avalanche, and the St. Louis Blues. So that's what they probably mean by the exhibition game. But I could be wrong on that. Or maybe it's just to get guys warmed up, like I said with the example, Penguins and Rangers, Pittsburgh, New York. And then July 30th, we'll begin the qualifying round for the Stanley Cup playoffs. 3 weeks from today, baby. Bring me the playoffs. We'll see how that goes. I will have in some point within the next few shows my official. It's going to be, I'm going to preview everything for the qualifying round and also who I think is going to be seeded where. That's not probably going to be on the next show, but that might be a show or two before the playoffs begin. So I find it the best time of year. I mean, who doesn't find the Stanley Cup playoffs the best time of year? I mean, it's going to feel weird without not seeing fans. But it's going to be exciting. I'll tell you what's going to be exciting in a second. I want to know how many of you guys actually like the referee, Wes McCauley. I mean, he gets so amped up into it and he pumps up the crowd with his review stuff. He said, after review, we got no goal. I wonder how he's going to be with that. even with no fans in the arena. That's hopefully that'll hype up the fans up watching it on television. So then, August 9th, the first round of the Stanley Cup playoffs begin. August 23rd, second round of the Stanley Cup playoffs begin. That's funny. That's when I scheduled a fantasy football draft at 6 o'clock for my league. But we'll see if there's even football this year to worry about that. Let me get back to hockey. So then September 6th, the conference finals will begin. And then September 20th through October 2nd will be when the Stanley Cup finals begin, according to Elliot Friedman at TSN. And these are all tentative dates. Tentative date for the NHL draft, October 6th. Tentative date for 2020-2021 camps, November 17th. And then they hope to start the season by December 1st. Are they really going to try and squeeze in all 82 games next year? It's possible they're already getting rid of All-Star Weekend next year, and they're already getting rid of it for next year. It's probably not going to come back till 2021, 2022. And they already announced that the conference finals and the Stanley Cup finals are all going to be in Edmonton. What? So I also have to say this about the schedule. So, there will be 3 games a day during the Stanley Cup playoffs, and I can't wait. 12 o'clock Toronto time, 4 o'clock Toronto time, 8 o'clock Toronto time, 12 o'clock Edmonton time, 4 o'clock Edmonton time, and 8 o'clock Edmonton time, and it's going to sound like the March Madness, baby. Let's go. All right. So that's 12 o'clock Eastern, 3 o'clock 3 o'clock East. So it's 12 o'clock Eastern, 3 o'clock Eastern, 4 o'clock Eastern, 6 o'clock Eastern, 7 o'clock Eastern, and then 8 o'clock Eastern and 10 o'clock Eastern. That's going to be great. That's going to be absolutely wonderful and tremendous. I can't believe I said 6 o'clock. I meant 7 o'clock. And I'm just thinking of, oh gosh, SpongeBob the whole 6 o'clock. But I'm so excited for it to begin. The Stanley Cup playoffs are the most wonderful time of the year, as people say in December, right? It is the most wonderful time of the year. That's what I feel right now. And hopefully we're getting out of this dark old tunnel with sports coming back. And maybe, just maybe, things will finally return to normal in 2021 when the clock strikes midnight on the year 2020 on December 31st, which we all simply can't wait for at this point. Now, staying in the NHL, what are the New Jersey Devils doing? So you fire John Hines as your head coach during the middle of the year, and you also fire general manager Ray Shero. You do 2 of them. And you decide to hire Lindy Ruff as your next head coach. 60 years old. What are you doing in the old land of New Jersey? I don't understand. You got Gerard Gallant and Peter Laviolette on the market, and you go with a guy who's offensive based, who's basically offensive based, and the Devils simply don't have the offensive personnel to win Game 7, 6, 6, 5. I mean, this team has been put in hold because of Shero's horrible drafting and free agent signing and trades. Tom Fitzgerald's his interim general manager name's going to be removed to the actual general manager. I'm not sure if I agree with that, but this is where the Devils are going. And this is why they may be in the basement now for a while. Unless they know what they're doing when it comes to drafting, and I'm not sure Ruff is going to fix this team overnight. But then yet again, He did have one of the best Buffalo Sabres teams ever, with Danny Bien, Chris Drury, and Maximum Afinogenov and Jochen Asht. And that team was basically loaded. I don't know how they didn't win a Stanley Cup, but I'm going to say this about Lindy Ruff. You want to know who Lindy Ruff is of the NHL? He's the Mike D'Antoni of the NHL. Does great in the regular season with his offense, never gets it done in the playoffs because of no defense. Because of their offensive schematic system, and they basically play no defense. That's what it comes down to. Lindy Ruff and Mike D'Antoni must grab a couple of beers in the summer and talk about offense, because they probably never talk about defense, if I'm probably correct on that one. Because you see the Houston Rockets play, and how about that Phoenix Suns team when they had Steve Nash, Raja Bell, Tim Thomas? That's another team that should have won in 2005-2006. Phoenix Suns, I don't know how they didn't. That's just the way I guess life goes, doesn't it? Well, I'm not sure what the Devils are really doing here with this hire. It completely baffles me that you hire Lindy Ruff. You hire Lindy Ruff when you could have had Laviolette or Gerard Gallant. Gallant's been to a Stanley Cup final. Laviolette's been to a couple Stanley Cup finals. But you chose Lindy Ruff, who's never been to one. Why on the planet Earth, when you're trying to build a team, you choose this guy? I don't understand why you did, because it was a monster mistake. The New Jersey Devils may regret that one for a while, and they might have set themselves back for another couple of years. I really don't understand this hire. And they couldn't have found a better general manager either? Really? Really? Is this what's going on with New Jersey? Are they becoming now the Mickey Mouse organization again? As my... excuse me. As my Uncle Frank was texting me last night. He's like, what, are they becoming a Mickey Mouse organization again? I don't think they're the worst team in the league. I don't. Detroit and Ottawa are worse, but maybe they're going to do rebuilds better than New Jersey is. Maybe they still got an outside shot at the number one pick with the Arizona trade, and that's funny. Team's got a shot at the Stanley Cup playoffs as a shot at the number one pick. Don't get me started in the whole NHL draft lottery. So New Jersey lands the number one pick again. No more excuses if you land Alexis Lafreniere. Yeah, no more excuses. You got to do this rebuild right if you're the Devils. You simply cannot do this much longer. You can't be... You got to get out of your own way. Columbus Blue Jackets are good. The Pittsburgh Penguins are good. The Philadelphia Flyers are good. The New York Rangers are good. Washington Capitals are good. I mean, it's a tough division. The Carolina Hurricanes are pretty good. New York Islanders aren't bad. You better find a way to get out of your own way, New Jersey, or you're going to be stuck in that cellar for a long time, and you're going to have no one to blame but yourselves. Because Nico Hershey hasn't popped yet, Jack Hughes hasn't popped yet. Yeah, I know they played better without Taylor Hall, and I know the Arizona Coyotes kind of regressed. But there are no excuses for that. Absolutely, relatively none. And I don't like the way that the Devils have really kind of handled things lately. And to be truth be told, they have not handled this with grace and class, I don't think, very much. Because I saw the story tweeted by Kevin Weeks that they're going to hire Lindy Ruff. And I'm like, you got to be kidding me. And I was telling my dad that because he likes the New Jersey Devils. I'm like, what are they doing, the Devils? And I'm just sitting here and I'm like, I guess that's what they want to do. But we'll see if it pays off for the New Jersey Devils later or not, because I'm going to tell you this right now. I personally don't see it happening for the New Jersey Devils. I don't see this move working out. Do you see this move work out? Alright, this is the first of three. Use promo code 12OZ Sports. All cash for deposit bonus up to $1,000 for my bookie. Alright? On to the NBA restart. So, July 7th, July 8th, and now today's July 9th. These were the 3 days of travel that teams were going to be coming into the Orlando bubble. And Adam Silver has his concerns about the bubble, and he hopes it doesn't halt play, because in 3 weeks from tonight, we're having the New Orleans Pelicans play the Utah Jazz at 6:30 on TNT, followed by the Los Angeles Lakers and the Los Angeles Clippers on the Los Angeles Lakers and the Los Angeles Clippers play each other at 9 o'clock on TNT. And I've already seen the ballrooms decorated with the courts of each team, and I think it's absolutely beautiful to see. Now they're going to be going on a bunch of coronavirus testing. You have to quarantine for 48 hours in your own hotel room. And they were showing meals. It looked like airport. It looked like with the airport with the closed meals. So, and I'm sure everyone's going to get their own room. And I found it was an adorable picture yesterday of Jason Tatum holding this kid. And it was like, and someone commented, it's like, don't worry, Daddy's going to bring you home an NBA championship, which I probably don't think is going to happen. But the photo that I saw of Tatum holding this kid was absolutely touching, because that's got to be rough. But if he does bring home a championship hardware, then it's all worth it, right? But let's just hope that everyone is safe and healthy, and that's probably the little bit of concern that Adam Silver has right now. And I hope they get to complete the season. And I really believe that they're going to be able to complete these seasons. I really do. I don't think there's going to be a problem with completing professional sports. I think high school and college, that's a different story. I think that's a different story altogether. Because you had Ohio State halting practices. And then the Ivy League postponing fall sports until 2021. And now there's something that came out today that Texas may not even have high school football this year. That's going to remain to be seen. You know you just basically cancel 2020 if high school football's canceled in Texas. And then you know that year is just complete the dumps. Right? Dumpster fire, we didn't start the fire. That's what it seems like this year in 2020. The NBA, I think, will complete the season. And I'm excited for it to restart. And it's going to be in the same vicinity as where the MLS is playing. It's going to be no fans. It's going to be very quiet. So I'm very curious to see how it's all going to work out at the end of the day. I am so looking forward to watching basketball on TV again. I know Kawhi Leonard did not make the trip down due to family concerns. And he's expected to join the team in a few days. And here's something very interesting. First things first was talking about on Fox Sports 1 this morning with Chris Broussard and Nick Wright. So, Kawhi Leonard, they're talking about load management Kawhi Leonard. And people are saying, and they were saying, shouldn't Kawhi Leonard be rested up by now? Well, Jenna Wolf was asking that question. Shouldn't he be rested up right now, even with these months off? And Chris Broussard believes that the reason why Kawhi Leonard even has to load manage no matter what is there has to be, he truly believes, and he's probably not wrong here, a degenerative need for Kawhi Leonard. It's probably the reason why he probably load manages. That's what Carey Price of the Montreal Canadiens has. And that's why he's not healthy all the time. I know Brandon Roy, who was a great shooting guard for the Portland Trail Blazers, had to get his career cut short due to knee problems. Is that what's going to happen here with Leonard? I certainly hope not. Because I truly believe Leonard's the best player in the NBA. And especially if the Clippers win the title. And I don't want to hear this nonsense of, Leonard low manages, Leonard this, Leonard that, he can't carry a team. Stop. And I agree with Broussard and Wright. Do they even beat the Sixers last year without Leonard? And the answer is downright no. Because let's look at what the Sixers had. Ben Simmons, Joel Embiid, Jimmy Butler, Tobias Harris. You're going to tell me without Kawhi Leonard that the Raptors are beating the Sixers? On what planet Earth do the Raptors beat the Sixers without him? You got to be out of your darn right mind to believe that actually would have happened. And yes, I know the Toronto Raptors have won just as many games or close to it without him this year. But that doesn't mean they would have won the title without him. You can't give me that. You can't be blind about it either. I mean, seriously, you cannot be blind about Kawhi Leonard and say, oh, well, this and that. You simply just about Kawhi Leonard. Because I think he's the best player in the NBA. I think he's better than Giannis. And I think he's better than LeBron. But all you guys can come after me and say, well, low management. Well, Giannis and LeBron doesn't. Well, they're going to be probably low managing too because, let's see, the Bucks are probably in the 1 seed, and so are the Lakers. So don't give me this nonsense and this and that. You can't have it both ways. No, you can't have it both ways with those guys. I mean, seriously, you simply cannot have it both ways with them. And the Clippers cannot win a championship without Kawhi Leonard. They can't. I truly believe this. If Kawhi Leonard is not 100%, and if he has to miss serious time, which I don't think he's going to, then if the Lakers don't come out of the West, you know who's coming out of the West, right? It's Denver. The Denver Nuggets will come out of the West. Nikola Jokic, he's having problems trying to get in the United States right now, but I'm sure he's going to be there whenever he can from Serbia. And he's one of their most important players on the Nuggets. And I'm curious to see how fast Jokic is going to be with them losing all this weight. And you got Jamal Murray, Gary Harris Jr., Michael Porter Jr., Will Barton, Torrey Craig, Paul Millsap, Mason Plumlee. I mean, this team is locked in. I think they're as I said, I think they have one of the 3 best benches in the NBA. They have one of the 3 best benches in the NBA. The Denver Nuggets are one of the best teams in the NBA, and you guys don't give them enough credit, do you? I wish they got them more. I wish you guys would give them more respect. I've told people, I've said on this show thousands of times. Well, that's probably an exaggeration, but still. I said, had the Clippers not signed Kawhi Leonard, I probably would have chosen the Nuggets to win the West before the year started. And you all probably thought I would have been crazy, even though the Lakers got Anthony Davis too. But I'm not going to sit here and try to be biased for LeBron and Anthony Davis. I'm simply not going to do that. I thought Denver was deeper, more athletic in certain ways than the Lakers are, but the Lakers would probably beat them in a series. Right now they probably would, but backtracking, if this were before the year without Kawhi Leonard, I'd probably be taking the Denver Nuggets. Because I think the Lakers are a little bit older and I don't think they're as deeper. And as more time goes on in the playoffs, you get a little bit tired. And I think the Nuggets probably would have been more fresh. I think they would have been more fresh. That's how I feel. I mean, that's what I simply feel about it. Use promo code 12OZ Sports, all caps, for deposits up to $1,000 for my bookie. And here's one thing that on the show, the last thing, I simply want to touch on very seriously in the final few minutes on here. And I'm going to be serious about it. And I'm not going to be very judgmental on the matter. is that Deshaun Jackson should not have done what he did over Instagram the other day. He sent out multiple apologies to people, and some people are not forgiving him for what he said, which I can understand, and some people are forgiving him, which I can also understand. I'm trying to be as neutral as possible about this. I'm not trying to be on one-sided here for one favor or one-sided for another. So I appreciate and I applaud the people. I applaud the Auschwitz Holocaust survivor for inviting Deshaun Jackson to visit the concentration camps, and I hope he accepts. I'm also applauded of Julian Edelman, the wide receiver for the New England Patriots, for inviting him to the Holocaust Memorial Museum in Washington, D.C. This is the way you go about things. You don't write and you don't call each other names. You don't do it. You reach out to people. You talk to them. You want them to listen to what you have to say. You don't start calling them names. You simply don't start calling them names. And I applaud that. And I agree with Zach Banner of the Pittsburgh Steelers for basically saying anti-Semitism has no place here in the NFL or anywhere for that matter. It has no place in anywhere in sports or any hate for that matter. No hate is allowed anywhere. No racism should be tolerated. None of that should be allowed. Jeff Schwartz, who's Jewish, spoke about the matter. He spoke about it. And he basically had some strong words to say. He had a lot of strong words to say about it. And then, what I also find interesting is that the Philadelphia Eagles owner, Jeffrey Lurie, is Jewish, and so is general manager Harry Roseman's Jewish too. So, for right now, they're not letting Deshaun Jackson go. They're not letting him go. And they also had another incident with Riley Cooper a couple of years ago with racists, and they kept him around, and then they got rid of him eventually. So now let's go into the more football side of things. Now what should they do with him? I think they should release him. I don't know if they're going to. I really don't know if they're going to. So, the Eagles are trying to figure out the money situation with him to see if they can release him or not. And they are very deep at the wide receiving core anyways, even without him. Nelson Aguilar, Jalen Reagor, Marquise Goodwin, Alshon Jeffrey, J.J. Arcega-Whiteside, and Greg Ward. They also have Zach Ertz and Dallas Goedert also at tight end at the roster. And they're led by Carson Wentz. And Carson Wentz reached out to Deshaun Jackson. And that's what the leader of the team is supposed to do. That's what you're supposed to do. And then you also have on that team in the backfield Corey Clement, Boston Scott, Miles Sanders, Adrian Killins Jr., Mike Warren, Elijah Holyfield. And then Doug Peterson as the head coach, who's very solid. And I applaud for the people who dealt with Deshaun Jackson, and they simply did this with grace and class, as in they reached out, they did all the right things, and not name call him this and that. And when I looked up his career stats this morning, I was surprised about the career stats he had. I didn't realize he actually played in 155 career games, had 598 career receptions for 10,420 yards, 55 touchdowns, and he played in only 3 games last year because of his injury. He had 9 receptions for 159 yards receiving and 2 touchdowns. Those were his numbers last year. And let's see if the Eagles keep him around. I don't think they should for what he did, but it wouldn't surprise me if they kept him around either. And I'm not going to judge people on it. I'm not. I'm trying to be as neutral as possible here. And I'm not trying to favor one side or the other, which I know is 100% wrong with what he did. I understand if you apologize, but I also understand if you don't forgive him either. I totally get both ways. But I'm just glad that for the people, instead of just being this and that and this and that, I applaud the Holocaust survivor for inviting him to Auschwitz, and I applaud Julian Edelman for inviting him to take a trip to Washington, D.C., to the Holocaust Memorial Museum. On that note, ladies and gentlemen, I am out of time here. Thanks for tuning in to Glenn's Dynamic Sports Corner. I am your host, Glenn Kaplan. I hope you all enjoy the rest of your day and your weekend as well. Nonetheless, I will be back on the air at the same time on Monday as well. I hope you all enjoy your weekend. Stay safe, everyone. I love you all. So, use promo code 12OZ Sports, all cash for deposit bonus up to $1,000 from my bookie.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Thursday, July 9th episode of Pete's Power Plays, hosted by the one, the only King on the Ice himself, Philly Pete, and we are live on 12-Ounce Sports and Zingo TV, channel 761. Check that out for us all. Last show of Pete's Power Plays. I know it's always a bummer, but hey, again, I always come back to you guys on Tuesday. So stay tuned to that. We have a loaded show like always once again today. First and foremost, I want to give a shout out to my wife. It is her birthday today. Happy 36th birthday to Gina, and also my sister as well. They share the same birthday and the same occupation as nurse practitioners. How funny is that? So happy 32nd birthday to my sister. Happy 36th birthday to my wife. Hope you guys have a phenomenal day. And this show, as always, is sponsored by MyBookie. Sign up to mybookie.ag today. Use the promo code 12-Ounce Sports, that's 12OZ Sports, all one word, and they will match your deposit up to $1,000. And, of course, we have sports right around the corner in a couple weeks. You have baseball starting in about 2 weeks. Who else is excited besides me? I know everyone is. So mybookie.ag is the place to go. Soccer is on the rise as well. You had the MLS started last night, and Orlando City versus Inter Miami. And I bet the over 2.5, and that cashed out. So, great start to the MLS season for myself. Again, soccer is on the rise. And what better way to start it, any other sport, than going onto mybookie.ag. Now, if you're not a soccer bettor, they do have an awesome casino where you can play blackjack, roulette, 3-card poker, whatever it may be, craps, for all I know. It is the place to go. So once again, mybookie.ag, use the promo code 12-Ounce Sports. That's 12OZ Sports, and they will match your deposit up to $1,000. Like I said a couple days ago, I got a bunch of my buddies from the weekend to sign in and use the promo code, and they're off and running on mybookie.ag. Now, of course, 12-Ounce Sports is the home for the best live talk shows and, of course, sports broadcasting. You know you can catch my show, Pete's Power Plays, and all the others on Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube. But, of course, now, Zingo TV. Zingo TV has added 12-Ounce Sports to their long list of channels. And now, if you're on your smart TV, just download the app and then flip to channel 761, which I'm hoping by now you all have gotten an account for and are tuning in right now to channel 761, hearing my lovely voice, like always. to catch all of our live 12-ounce sports programming plus replays. All you got to do is download Zingo TV, very easy, and use the promo code 12ounce, 12OZ. Pretty darn easy if you ask me. But also be sure to check out our latest blogs and podcasts as well on 12ouncesportsradio.com. So, ladies and gentlemen, welcome, welcome, welcome. I'm so glad to be tuning into you. We had a phenomenal show yesterday and on Tuesday. And Fighter Fest Night 2 was also a pretty good show. I think I went 5 for 5 or 6 for 6 with all the matches. So it was kind of obvious, but hey, I'll put a hand to the back of my shoulder and pat myself for that one. So, but it was a good show. Next week will be even better. I cannot wait for the Fight of the Fallen, and you will finally see Jon Moxley back in action, as he will fight Brian Cage for the AEW Championship match. So I'm pumped up for that. But today we have another loaded show. I want to get into the Eastern Conference, Western Conference odds to win it real quick for the next couple minutes before I get the one, the only Marcus Dickerson from a former OHL and USHL player, right winger. He's also right down the street from me in West Deptford, New Jersey. He's the man himself. We go way back from a couple years ago where we played basketball together on the same team, and I got introduced to him and found out that he was a hockey player in the OHL and the USHL. So good for him. He also played in the USPHL, the under 16 and the under 18 groups, respectively. And then, of course, he went to the Mississauga Steelheads for 3 seasons. Then he went to Chicago Steel. And then lastly, most recent, the Des Moines Buccaneers. He's also now the skills coach for the Rowan University Profs over in Glassboro. So he will be on the air in about 5 minutes, and we're going to give him the rundown. And he's also going to be in the penalty box for a 2-minute minor of the day question with Philly Pete. So I look forward to that. It's going to be very fun to talk to him again. So real quick, since I have the sports books up right now, the Eastern Conference updates right now as the winner, Boston 2-1. I believe last week they were 3-1, maybe 4-1. But Boston is now the clear-cut favor at 2-1. You got Tampa Bay Lightning coming in at 3-1. You got the Flyers next at 4-1, and you had the Capitals as well at 4-1. And then lastly, the Penguins at 7-1 here. So again, between the Flyers and the Penguins, I mean, you have two crucial. Of course, if the Penguins do get out of their opening round against the Habs, you're going to see a pretty solid second round matchup with the Flyers and the Penguins. What else? Who else doesn't want to see this? Because everybody across the world wants to see the Battle of PA. Pittsburgh, Philly, let's go. Broad Street Bullies against the Pens themselves. We know how that's going to turn out. And there you have it. I mean, you have 5 basically powerhouses in the Eastern Conference under 8-1 odds. Like, this is insane. It really is tough to pick any of these teams here in general, let alone these 5 that I just mentioned. Now, you have Carolina at 25-1. You have Columbus at 30-1. You could probably scratch them off. Florida at 30-1 as well. You could probably scratch them off as well after the first round. Habs 40-1. Again, you could scratch them off. Islanders 25-1. Now, again, I always talk about the Rangers. I don't know why, but I know they've been Philly Pete's basically the main bet for all of my plays I give out to everybody, including my clients, including the free plays on Twitter for everybody else. But the Rangers at 25-1, they've been playing the hottest, if not the hottest, hockey in the NHL before the pandemic. So 25-1 for the Rangers is not bad. And again, Toronto 12-1 as well. Another value there that I see with Toronto at 12-1. If they could play their expectations, I expect Toronto to maybe clean house and maybe represent the East in the Stanley Cup this year. So we'll see what happens. But 12-1, they look good. Running down the West real quick, you have Colorado at 3-1, Dallas 5-1, St. Louis 3-1, and the favors, the Vegas Golden Knights at 2-1. So again, you have 4 powerhouses in the Western Conference as well, and are respectively the top 4 seeds, obviously. So this really does make sense. You got the Coyotes at 20-1. You had the Flames at 20-1. Again, this could be a very good potential value ticket for the Flames. I know a while back I was doing a simulated playoff, and it was the Flames and Caps in the Stanley Cup Finals, and the Flames won. So, but 20-1, not bad for the Flames to take a little value there. Blackhawks 37-1. Oilers 12-1. Again, another team that I like as well to get a nice little value there at 12-1. Why not? As long as they could play to their potential. I as well, just like Toronto, I love to see Edmonton in the Stanley Cup. That'd be nice. Wild 30-1. Preds 13-1. Vancouver 20-1 as well. Again, a team that I do like and is one of my locks to get out of the qualifying round along with Calgary. So those two teams right there will be Philly Pete's free plays for my friends out there, and we'll be good to go. And then lastly, the Winnipeg Jets at 25-1. So that is pretty much how I will wrap up the Eastern Conference and Western Conference updates in terms of winning. And first and foremost, before I get to my next topic, because I do have the one, the only Marcus Dickerson in the house right now, I got to go over mybookie.ag real quick. Now, mybookie.ag is the place to go. I can't stress this enough. Sign up today for an account. Make sure you use the promo code 12ounce sports. That is 12OZ sports, all one word, when making your first deposit today, and they will match it up to $1,000. You know, you have sports right around the corner. You got NHL right around the corner. You got the NBA right around the corner. You have football right around the corner. And baseball, like I said, will be starting up in about 2 weeks. But soccer's in action. If you're not a soccer guy, the casino is the place to go for MyBookie. So once again, tune in to mybookie.ag, sign up, but make sure you use the promo code 12ounce sports, all one word, and they will match your deposit up to $1,000. Also, Zingio TV. Listen, this is the place to be when it comes to live streaming sports and entertainment for you today. What better place than downloading Zingio TV, tune in to channel 761, and right there, right now, you'll be tuning live to Pete's Power Plays, of course, hosted by the one, the only, King on the Ice himself, Philly Pete. And again, we are live on 12ounce sports. Without further ado, I want to introduce to the man himself, the former OHL and USHL player, current Rowan Skills staff player, as is the staff coach himself, none other than the man, my basketball teammate as well, Marcus Dickerson. Marcus, my man, welcome aboard. How are you?
Pete, what's going on? I'm doing well. How about yourself?
I'm doing good, man. I appreciate you taking the time out of your busy schedule, I'm sure, and I appreciate being on my show today.
Yeah, no problem. Thanks for having me. I was super excited to hear you have this going, and I'm more than honored to be on here with you. I appreciate the offer. It's awesome.
Good. Thank you. Yeah, so ladies and gentlemen out there that are tuning in, Marcus and I go way back a couple years now, and we got put on a free agent basketball team from a league around here, and we fell into pretty good chemistry right away. And once he told me about that he was playing hockey in Ontario for the Mississauga Steelheads, and I was like, oh man, this is insane. Like, this is awesome. He could find himself in NHL 20, NHL 19, all the NHLs. I'm sure it's pretty cool playing as yourself, right?
Yeah, I actually been playing as myself a couple times during quarantine. Find myself on the video games and playing with my buddies a lot. So had to get my rating up a little bit.
You have to do that. So real quick, Marcus. So tell me, how was your time, going into Ontario Hockey League playing for Mississauga?
It was awesome. I got drafted in 2014, so I was about 15, going on 16 there. And I was drafted in the 12th round to Mississauga, and fortunately I was honored to be picked by them. They're about 20 minutes away from Toronto, so I knew I was going to a good city, and I didn't know much about the OHL or even Canada at all, so it was a big risk to take, but my family and I talked about it, and it was the best decision I ever made in my life. It was great. I was able to get used to living away from home for a little bit. I lived with a great host family. They took care of me, and I'm still in contact with them today, so nothing but good things happened over there.
Good. That's great to hear, man. Absolutely great to hear. And then you played 3 seasons out there?
Yes, 3 seasons. And I graduated high school from up there, too. So I have a Canadian high school diploma as well.
Hey, man, whatever works, right?
Exactly.
Whatever works.
Good, though.
Good for you. Now, how was the competition from the OHL and then transitioning to the USHL? I mean, I'm sure those Canadians are a little bit more aggressive compared to USHL.
Yeah, it was. I had the honor to play in both leagues, and I was really happy to be able to talk and have firsthand experience in both. But the USHL is a great league, very professional, very well put together. I would say the biggest difference is the USHL is a little more defensive. They have a little more defensive, strategic zones and defenses that they work within. I see the OHL is a little more offensive and a little more creative. But both leagues were great, and I was able to learn a lot and meet some great people in both organizations there.
Good for you. And then of course when you get to the now you made the playoffs as well when on the Steelheads, correct?
Yes, we ended up making the playoffs my third year in 2017, and we ended up winning the Eastern Conference Championship as well.
Awesome.
So that was a really good time to win that, and we ended up losing to the Erie Otters. So they had Brian Strome, Strome was on that team. So DeBrincat, a bunch of NHLers were on that team. So it was a tough battle, but it was awesome to play against those guys.
Very, very great experience. And you know what's funny? I checked a fight out with you. You're quite the penalty minute guy, aren't you?
Yeah, that was my first fight. Yeah, my parents were lucky to be in the stands there, so they were all excited. But I got the boys going, so we ended up getting a power play off of that.
There you go. Yeah, man, you're the one that dropped them too. I saw you. You were at the end, and everything, and you were on top. So that's all that matters, man.
Exactly.
Props to you. Good for you.
Great experience there. That was fun.
Good, man. That's awesome to hear. And then you went back to the States to play for Chicago, and then most recently Des Moines. How'd that work out?
So originally one team in the league had my rights, and
Okay.
I was trying to work it out for them so they could trade me to Chicago. Chicago wanted me, and I knew a couple people in their organization, so I went over there and played in a couple games. Ended up scoring in my first game there, and then found out they had a little more guys they had on the roster, so I wanted to get traded and see if there's another opportunity that I could help another team maybe struggling in the standings. So Des Moines picked me up, and I lived in Iowa for about a month and a half, and that was it was a different experience, but it was nice to get away and see a different part of the state. But I had a great time in Des Moines, great family, and I really liked my teammates too. So definitely different part of hockey that you see in Iowa.
Yeah.
But it was a great experience. I would go back for sure.
Awesome. That's great to hear. Yeah, I could only imagine how Iowa is as a state. I know I never visited, but I hear it's just completely different from other states that you visit, so at least different compared to Chicago, so I could tell you that much.
For sure. I was able to ride my first tractor out there, so
there you
go.
Cool. That's awesome.
Yeah,
hey,
fun.
good for you, man. So so moving on real quick, now you are the skills coach for the Rowan Profs, correct?
Yes.
Okay. And how long have you been the skills coach now?
So I've been the skills coach for about 2 years now.
Okay.
I got attend Rowan too, so I'm finishing up my bachelor's degree in sports communication. So I had the luxury of going to class with some of the players and then kind of interacting with them, and then going to practice later that night or the next morning. So I started out with the women's team. We ended up going to nationals that year. So
Awesome.
They really were able to take care of everyone, and we really meshed together. And I found my niche there. And then the head coach Dan DeMonte of now the men's team asked me to join them this past year, and on the boys team for the D2 team, and we ended up really having a really good year there.
Awesome.
So,
That's awesome. Quite the promotion, I should say.
yeah, it was awesome. It's good
good.
stuff, man.
Good, man. Hell of an experience too. That's great. Now, how has the pandemic affected college hockey? Coming from a skills coach, from you, how's it affected you?
It's been tough. Obviously, you want to be able to work on the ice with your players and find drills that kind of translate onto, from, your being in your home or your living room onto the ice when rinks are opening. But it was tough. It was definitely something to adjust to. Definitely found a good group of people to work with and kids via Zoom or FaceTime, and we were able to make a bunch of programs and send out virtually. But it definitely was a challenge. But now that rinks are open, they opened about a week or two ago, and it's limited with kids on the ice. But I'm happy to be back on the ice with them and developing young players.
That's great to hear. Yeah, I can only imagine. The time is definitely crucial, but the fact that we're getting sports back in action it's really more exciting for the kids too, and of course, you as coaches as well. I mean, you have to be excited to see your kids after so long,
Right, and they have a bunch of energy, and everyone's ready to go. So it's a great time to be back in the rink. And it's been super hot out, so the weather helps too with the ice.
Yeah, exactly. So that keeps it super, super chill. So, and now how was the transition from coming from a player yourself with all the experience that you had for last 5-6 years, now coming to now being a coach? What have you brought to your kids from an aspect of being an actual player?
I definitely brought some different, unique experiences, and I had a lot of great coaches and a lot of bad coaches. So I was able to use what worked for me, and even just like in school, a lot of kids think differently and work differently. So I was able to come up with a bunch of visuals, and I can do some hands-on stuff to provide that hockey knowledge with them. The biggest thing was for me, like I'm 22, so I had to find the difference between professionalism. Like some of the kids I'm training are my age or a little older. So I definitely have to find that balance of maturity in them and knowing that we can hang out and be friends off the ice, but when we're on the ice, we're there to work and develop and work on the game. So that was definitely a tough thing to work on, but it's all good because I'm able to work on it every day and get better and develop that myself.
Good. That's really, really great to hear, and definitely helps out the fact for the kids too. Ladies and gentlemen that are tuning in today to this episode of July 9th, Thursday's episode of Pete's Power Plays, hosted by the one, the only king on the ice himself, Philly Pete. And we are live on 12 Ounce Sports and Zingo TV, channel 761. We are live right now with the one, the only former OHL and USHL player himself, Marcus Dickerson, a very, very good friend of mine, on the air right now, talking hockey, those that are tuning in. Now, changing the subject to the NHL. I know it's been 4 months since we've seen any game, let alone from any sport in general. Hockey's right around the corner. Basketball is right around the corner. We're finally getting some thumbs up with a lot of sports. Now, NHL playoff predictions. Who are you liking? Who do you like? Who are you liking into this playoffs?
It's tough. A lot of people ask me who are my favorite teams. Who do I like? I don't really have a favorite team. I like all different teams. I like what people have. I like different players.
Yeah.
But the Flyers were rolling into the playoffs before all this started. So hopefully they can pick back up where they are. I think Colorado has a good team going into the playoffs. Tampa Bay you always have to watch for, and I think Boston has the best experience and going into all this. So honestly, I think it's up for anyone right now. Everyone has the same amount of time off, and we'll see who clicks first.
Yeah, absolutely, and you're dead on right about the Flyers. I mean, they've been, if not the hottest NHL team before this quarantine pandemic started, and again, I just really hope that they keep riding it off from 4 months ago and could maybe boost a little bit of energy throughout the playoffs. So we will see what happens. So I do a segment now, Marcus, called the 2-Minute Minor. It's a segment that I do with my guests I bring on the air. And basically, I have 2 questions for you. So you could call it a double minor if need be. But what is your favorite all-time hockey jersey and why?
I would say my favorite all-time hockey jersey is the 2008 Penguins Winter Classic, the Baby Blues, when they played Buffalo.
Mm-hmm.
I started playing hockey when I was 12, so I didn't know about anything before the sport. So that was kind of the first Winter Classic I've seen. I think that was the first one they had in a while. And so I like those, really stood out to me. I also like the North Stars, Minnesota North Stars jerseys.
Yep.
I also like the Vancouver ones, the red stripes with the white in the B section. Yeah,
yep, that's a classic one. Yep.
But yeah, I think that's it because that's just kind of where I started playing hockey, and that's kind of just stuck in my head, the Penguins jerseys. So
yeah, solid choices. You can never go wrong with the color baby blue. So I mean, that always stands out for sure.
Exactly. It was a crazy Winter Classic too, with all the snow and everything.
Yeah, it was. That's what makes the East Coast Winter Classic game so remarkable, because it could actually snow, and it just makes it so much legendary like that. So it's a very cool experience for the players. And then lastly, what was your most memorable achievement in your hockey career?
So I'd have to say getting drafted to the Mississauga Steelheads. At the time, we were at USA Hockey Nationals in Green Bay, Wisconsin. Okay. And when I got the call, I didn't expect anything, and I was just sitting with my family in the hotel room, and that was kind of life-changing there. It was definitely a lot of opportunity that we had to learn as a family, and I definitely will never forget that moment and that call that I had with James Boyd of the Mississauga Steelheads GM when they called me and picked me up. So that was pretty cool.
Awesome, man. That is a very, very much great explanation of that. What better place to be than with your parents getting drafted to the sport that you love the most? And you are out of the penalty box. And Marcus, man, thank you so much for being on the air with me for an episode of Pete's Power Plays. I will definitely have you on again soon, and I hope you had fun.
Awesome. Thanks, Mud. Thanks a lot. Thanks for having me, Pete. I appreciate it. Good talking to you.
You too, man. I'll talk to you soon.
See ya.
See ya. Ladies and gentlemen, that was the former OHL Mississauga Steelhead, and USHL Chicago Steel and Des Moines Buccaneer himself, Mr. Marcus Dickerson. You can get him. You can, if you want to add him for sure on the Twitter. You get him at mdickerson_12 and follow him. He is a great dude, great friend of mine. He is literally 10 minutes away from me in West Deptford, New Jersey. Great kid. Again, I played basketball with him for the last couple of years now on the same team, and I had to bring him on because he played in both areas of the world, in Canada and in the States. So, Marcus, thank you for being on board. So, last segment of the day, I want to talk about the NHL's 2020-2021 season. They get a tentative start date of December 1st per report. Right now, the date remains unchanged, and training camps would begin on November 17th. So, December 1st, mark the calendars right now. 2020-2021 season, December 1st. Mark the calendar. Training camps will begin on November 17th. Now, the regular season obviously is marked as the first night of play season. Again, it's going to be unchanged here. To go along with the start date, TSN is also reporting that the last possible date for this year's Stanley Cup Finals is October 2nd. Free agency will open a full week after the Cup is awarded, which means that the NHL is set on ending the finals by October 2nd, of course. The draft is scheduled October 6th, and it must be right at the conclusion of the Cup Finals before free agency happens. So, of course, we knew Phase 3 and 4 was in the act earlier this week. I'm sorry, they finalized the protocols for Phases 3 and 4 of the return to play. So we all know from my show yesterday what those dates were, with the first game being on August 1st. And teams going to their respective hub cities around the 25th of July. So there you have it right there. And, just again, real quick, Phase 3 features the start of training camps. They were originally scheduled to begin on July 10th. However, the league pushed the date back until at least July 13th in order for the two sides to come to an agreement about both the protocols for the rest of the return to play plan and the CBA extension. The two sides did come to terms on a 4-year extension of the CBA. Now, according to ESPN, we all know we love ESPN, all individuals shall maintain physical distancing, of course, a minimum of 6-foot distance at all times throughout Phase 4 to extent possible. So players will also be expected to wear face masks except when they're exercising, of course. Coaches don't have to wear face masks while on the bench. Of course, this is why you have to test these players every day. And I'm going to be completely honest with you. The NHL, compared to the other sports, have done a superb job of this pandemic and the quarantine and making sure the players, staff, and coaches, and anything regardless in the facility are healthy and safe because, and again, they're being smart as is, going into Canada and playing the sport of hockey respectively in Canada, which is the safest place to play compared to the United States. Okay, the NBA is also doing very, very well too, keeping the players in a bubble in Orlando. It is smart. They're doing it very well. They are doing it very good as well and testing their players too. Unfortunately, to me, MLB is just doing it wrong. Why take the chance of flying teams to the cities that they're going to be playing in? They should have done the same aspect as the NHL and basketball and the NBA. I was hearing all across the world that, Arizona was the place to hold, all the games, or at least one of the two hub cities. Maybe have Toronto have a host, have a hub city for the NL, and then, Arizona, hosting the AL or whatever, But the fact that they're going to have team planes fly to these other cities to play a game of baseball is beyond ridiculous. It is not safe. And I don't like it. I just don't like the way they're going. 60 games is already pathetic to begin with. I really think that this whole season should be canceled because they are just doing it wrong. NBA, NHL, kudos to you. You guys are doing this well. And when it comes to my 2 cents about college football, there will not be a season this year, unfortunately. There's not going to be any kids going to school either. Clemson already had, a couple weeks ago or last week had over 30 players confirmed positive for the virus. So this is just bad news all around for college football. And, especially as a Penn Stater myself, of course, we had a team that is very, very close, if not probably going to go to the Final Four this year. And, probably the best roster as of yet. And unfortunately, that's just how it goes. But to me, if you have a stadium of like 120,000 like Penn State does, you're not going to see a fan in there. They have bleacher seats. You are literally neck to neck, shoulder to shoulder with the person next to you. It is not going to be healthy whatsoever. So for me, I hate to say it, there will not be a college football season. There'll be no fans, obviously, if there is. But there's not going to, once fall semesters happen with these kids, they're not going to have school. It's all going to be online. I'm feeling it right now. All classes are going to be online. And to me, just the way that these things are and how college football rosters are in general, it's just going to be tough for me to think that there will be a college football season this year. I hope I'm wrong, but just to be guessing here, I don't think there'll be a college football season. NFL, I think they're still on track for it. They will have it. The Baltimore Ravens also just limited their tickets to next season. And if they were to have fans, they would have no more than 1,400 fans in the stadium. So that's not saying a lot either. Again, there will not be fans in stadiums this year for the NFL, unfortunately, either. But I still think there will be an NFL season. But again, of course, the hub cities, the teams will go 25th of July, and the season will start August 1st as well. So, ladies and gentlemen, again, clients, look out for my qualifier series plays as well. You got my free picks as well, the rest of Twitterverse. And those that want to be a client, reach out to me at my handle, at @TheRealPTooch. I will answer all your questions, especially daily fantasy football as well. I am the guru when it comes to fantasy football. Let me know your questions. I'll give you the answer. Hope everyone has a phenomenal weekend, and I'll be back again on Tuesday. Take care, guys. See ya.